Have you ever watched a replay of yourself losing the ball and thought, my first touch was terrible? Maybe. But what if I told you the mistake happened 3 seconds earlier, before the pass, before the touch, before the pressure even arrived? Most players spend years trying to improve their first touch, and yet every weekend they lose the ball in exactly the same situations. Under pressure, back to goal, defender closing in, panic, possession gone. Here's the truth. The reason you're losing the ball probably isn't your first touch. It's what happens before your first touch. And once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. Most players think football works like this. Receive, think, decide, act. Sounds logical, but that's not how good players play. Watch average players. The ball travels toward them, their eyes lock onto the pass, they wait, receive, look up, think, panic, ball gone. Now watch players who always seem calm, the ones who never look rushed, the ones who somehow always have space. You know what's funny? They don't actually have more time. They just start the process earlier. Most players are trying to solve problems after they receive the ball. Good players solve them before the ball arrives. Football rewards preparation, not reaction. Quick question. If I paused your last match and asked what was behind you before every receive, would you know? Most players wouldn't, and that's exactly why pressure feels so fast. Most players believe, if my first touch improves, I'll stop losing the ball. That's only half true. Think about your last match. How many times did you receive the ball already knowing your next move? Probably not many. That's the real problem. It's not talent, it's not technique, it's information timing. And here's the crazy part. By the end of this video, you'll probably realize you've been blaming the wrong skill the entire time. Football is not just a technical game, it's an information game. And most players are starving themselves of information. Imagine you're a midfielder. Your center back has the ball. A pass is coming toward you. Most players stare at the ball. Ball, 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 receive, problem. Meanwhile, the defender is moving. Space is changing. Passing lanes are changing. Teammates are moving. But because you're only watching the ball, you receive with zero awareness. You weren't pressured because your touch was bad. You were pressured because you were blind. Suddenly, 2 defenders appear from nowhere. Except they didn't come from nowhere. You just never saw them. The defender knew where you were. You didn't know where he was. That's a losing battle. Every time. Here's something most players never realize. The best receivers make decisions before the ball arrives, not after. When elite players receive the ball, they often already know. One-touch pass, turn, protect, switch play, drive forward. The decision is already loaded. The pass simply activates it. Average players wait, then start thinking. That's why everything feels rushed. Not because they're slow, because their thinking is late. This is why some players look naturally talented. They're not reacting faster, they're reacting less. Most of the thinking is already done. Let's compare 2 players. Same position, same situation, defender behind them, pass incoming. Player A scans twice, sees defender, sees space, knows he's turning left. Pass arrives, 1 touch, gone. Player B never scans, pass arrives. First touch, looks up, defender arrives, panic, ball lost. From the stands, it looks like player A has better technique. Maybe, but often he simply had better information. That's the difference, not ability, information. This is where most players get stuck. They spend hours working on first touch. Wall passes, cone drills, technical repetitions. Nothing wrong with that. But football isn't played in isolation. Football is perception first, action second. In a match, you're not receiving against a cone. You're receiving against uncertainty, pressure, movement, chaos. Every team has one player like this. Not the fastest, not the strongest, sometimes not even the most technical, yet nobody can press him. The ball just seems to stick. That's not because his touch is magical. It's because he knows what's happening before everyone else. Watch players like Xavi, Rodri, or Toni Kroos. They weren't winning because they had perfect touches. They were winning because they processed information earlier than everyone else. That's not talent, that's trained perception. But here's the part most players never train, so how do you actually fix this? Not in 6 months, not after 500 cone drills, starting in your next training session. Simple rule, don't scan once, scan twice, 1 early, 1 late. Early scan gives the big picture. Late scan gives current information. Common mistake, players scan too early and assume nothing changed. Everything changes in football. Expected result, you start receiving with answers instead of questions. Simple test, next training session. Before every receive, force yourself to look once left and once right. That's it, nothing fancy. Within 20 minutes, you'll notice your decisions feel easier. That's not coincidence, that's information working. Try it tomorrow, one session, that's all. If your decisions don't feel easier, stop doing it. Before the ball arrives, ask, if I receive now, what's my next action? Common mistake, waiting for certainty before deciding. But football never gives certainty. A 70% decision made early beats a perfect decision made too late. Always. Expected result, faster decisions, less hesitation, less panic. Most players receive closed, facing the passer, looking only one direction. Good players receive open. They can see more information, more options. Common mistake, opening too late. Expected result, you immediately feel like you have more space. Because you do, small shift, massive difference, massive. Add scanning to every drill, even the simple ones. Build the habit because habits survive pressure. Common mistake, only trying to scan during matches. Expected result, you stop reminding yourself to scan. You just do it, like breathing. That's when the habit becomes part of your game. Here's something controversial. I'd rather have a player with average technique and elite awareness than elite technique and average awareness. Most coaches won't say that out loud, but watch enough football and you'll see it. And here's why. The best first touch isn't always the cleanest touch. Some players obsess over perfect technique. Elite players obsess over solving the next problem. Sometimes the best touch is simple. Sometimes it's ugly. Sometimes it's a bounce pass. Sometimes it's protecting the ball. The purpose of a first touch isn't to impress, it's to improve your next action. Football isn't judged frame by frame, it's judged by outcomes. That's why some technically gifted players struggle and smarter players dominate, because intelligence beats aesthetics more often than people think. The next time you lose the ball, don't watch the touch. Watch the 5 seconds before the touch. That's where the mistake usually lives. Maybe you didn't scan. Maybe you didn't check your shoulder. Maybe you waited too long to decide. Maybe you received the ball blind. Football isn't won by the player with the cleanest first touch. It's won by the player who sees the picture first. The ball moves fast, but information moves faster. And the players who master that always seem like they have more time, even when they don't.